Happy Monday, Frank Grock, House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you. Tennessee Vols, 11-1 on the season, gets ready for midweek action this week. I got a fun one tomorrow night against Kansas State, who, depending on the poll, they're ranked in some they're not. But it's a good baseball team they're playing tomorrow night. And then they get Southern Indiana on Wednesday night. So Kansas State coming in ranked 7-3 on the season. And their three losses, I'll look at their schedule here in just a minute. They've played a pretty tough. I love what they're doing with their schedule, especially non-conference wise, and I'll get to that here in a minute. Southern Indiana 4-7 on the year. Wednesday night, if the run rule's in effect, I feel pretty confident that you'll see a run rule in that one. Tomorrow night could be pretty fun, though. Should be a pretty fun game. I'm not sure who Kansas State goes with on the mound because I've only seen them have one midweek game so far, and the guy that pitched that night was their preseason Big 12 all-conference player, Owen Barima. I think's how you pronounce the name. Tennessee has never played either one of these teams before, so this will be their first meeting with Kansas State, and it's their first meeting with Southern Indiana as well. But preseason all-conference for Kansas State coming into the year was infielder Kalen Culpepper, left-handed pitcher Owen Barima, and right-handed pitcher Tyson Neighbors. And the one midweek game Kansas State played on a Tuesday, the first week of the season against Arizona State, and Barima pitched that game. And I looked at their weekend to see what it looked like. They played UMass Lowell this weekend. It was almost kind of a series, kind of like with Tennessee and Bowling Green, where it didn't look like the run rules effect because a couple of those games they won by more than 10 runs, but it had them going 9 innings with it. Barima did throw Friday night, but he only threw 2 innings on that. So I do wonder if there's a possibility you could see him a little bit tomorrow. But I talked about Kansas State and what I love that they're doing about their schedule. Let me go back up here and find it again. I know just this week, and I'll pull up the rest of it. They play Tennessee tomorrow, and then they're going through kind of a gauntlet of their own. Talk about the gauntlet with basketballs. They go to Clemson on Wednesday. Now, I love it, man. That's back when, I'm not coaching any baseball this year, but when I had before my non-conference, I wanted to play the best. I hated playing teams that I knew we were going to annihilate. And, sometimes it just happened. I want to play teams that's going to challenge us. You get to conference, you run into it, so be it. You run into that conference team like in basketball or, a Vanderbilt in football, so to speak. Those games are glorified non-conference games. Now, Vanderbilt's not baseball. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But basketball and football, for the most part, especially if they're home games, they're glorified glorified non-conference games is what they are. Kansas State's not. This is a good matchup. I like this. But Kansas State lost their first game. They played out. This must have been similar to what Tennessee played in last year out in Arizona because they played California, they played Boston College and Georgetown. They won. They lost to Cal, beat Boston College, which was the Boston College team that beat Tennessee midweek last year, and they beat Georgetown. Then a couple days later, they played Arizona State. They must have just stayed out and scheduled Arizona State, and they lost to them. So that was 2 of their losses. Played a 3-game set against Holy Cross. They won 2 out of 3. They lost 1 of them on the weekend. They did not have a midweek game last week, and then beat UMass Lowell 10-1, 17-3, and 10-1 over the weekend. So, and now they've got Tennessee, they've got Clemson coming up, and then they have Cincinnati, which is Big 12. So they start Big 12 play this coming weekend. So, like I said, a good baseball team coming in, and so I don't know who they will throw. I do know kind of what, like I said, you had Culpepper, who's their main hitter coming back, but his average is not the best one at this point for Kansas State. Looking at their stats on the year and individually, you're looking at Nick English has started 7 out of 8 games that he's played in. He's hitting .391. Jaden Lobliner, .359. He started all 10 games. Brady Days started all 10, .359. Brenda Jones, .351. Chuck Ingram, .318, Kalen Culpepper, .302, and their other guys started 10. Daniel Rivera, .265. Rafael Pelletier, .233. David Bishop, .226. What I'm seeing out of Kansas State looks like some pretty good averages. about all these guys have at least a couple home runs, and almost all of them outside of Lobliner have stolen. Lobliner and Pelletier. All these guys have stolen anywhere from 3 to 6 bases. So it's a team that does a little bit of everything. Good looking to me on paper. Looking at it, looks like a good baseball team. Looks like a team you want to face in non-conference. That should provide a bit of a challenge. I'm curious to see where Tennessee goes tomorrow night. Because as a preview, what I know about the visit, that's what I know about Kansas State. I know with Southern Indiana looked at, they have no preseason non-conference selections. And, again, I don't think it's a team that's going to give Tennessee a lot of trouble at all. And look at the schedule for Southern Indiana so far. They're 4-7. They lost to Lamar. They lost to Northern Alabama. Looks like these were, I'm not sure if they were scrimmages or what they were on it. Then you had, they won 2 out of 3 against Eastern Michigan. They won 1 out of 3. I'm sorry, they lost to Ball State midweek and last week. Over the weekend, they won 2 out of 3 against the University of St. Thomas, and now they've got Tennessee coming out. So not a great schedule. It doesn't look like by any means. I'm thinking at times Lamar has a decent team. I could be wrong on that. Could be confusing. The beauty about college baseball, there's a lot of these kind of mid-major type programs. You look at, depending on the rankings this week, there are numerous mid-major programs in that top 25. I love it. I love it that, a lot of these teams too, they're fun to watch. If you have like the ESPN Plus or something, they are a lot of fun to watch on those weekends when you get those games. What I do hate about the ESPN Plus, if you get on the ACC network and you can't get the games, because I want to tune in for some of the South Carolina Clemson series this past weekend, could not get them because for some reason they're on the freaking ACC network. So I guess all the subscriptions and stuff for some reason doesn't work. I don't know that. Hopefully they fix all this streaming crap at some point. But I have a feeling it'll probably get worse before it gets better. But there are some options coming where supposedly ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery, I think, are looking at some kind of package. So I'm curious how that would look. But that's not going to include NBC, nor is it going to include CBS packaging from what I've gathered on it. But what I'm looking for out of Tennessee this week, who pitches? I know Matthew Dallas come in for a couple batters yesterday and walked them. We did not see Nate Snead this weekend, so it makes me wonder to let him start tomorrow night. Do they come out of the gates with him? Could they go back to Sechrist? I mean, there was a lot of guys through yesterday, but not a lot of them threw a lot of pitches. So could they go Dallas? Could they go, Derek Schaefer possibly? I could see one of those possibilities on Wednesday. I think tomorrow night, just guessing, and it's an educated guess on my part, and I may be wrong. I was wrong on Sunday with it. I'm going to say Nate Snead comes out of the gate tomorrow night. I really do. I think he possibly does. They've been pitching him more pitches. He threw like over 70 last week against High Point. So he's going to be rested and ready to go. It would not surprise me at all tomorrow night to see them throw him out of the gates. And then who knows from there? You could see a Marcus Phillips. I mean, Kirby Cannell's been pitching more. I still want to see Wyatt Evans at some point. I'd read from Ben McKee. This was back first of the season when they went down to Arlington, played. Evans was in the doghouse. Hopefully he's getting close to being out of that doghouse because I think he'll be an asset to the bullpen. He was good 2 years ago as a freshman. Did not pitch last year because of injury. So he could be an asset. He could be another arm. You can never have enough arms in a bullpen, especially with Stamos. Whatever's going on with him, he didn't pitch much over the weekend. Or he didn't pitch any over the weekend. So could you see him throw? Excuse me. But they have that game. I think you'll see a heavy game Wednesday night of probably a lot of your freshmen, a lot of your true and redshirt freshmen. That's what I expect Wednesday night. Tomorrow night, I could see a little bit more your better pitchers, it being Kansas State. And then that gets ready for this weekend as well. You're looking into playing Illinois. Should be a fun series there. But talk about who pitches. I again, educated guess. We'll talk about it a little bit when I do the post-game wrap tomorrow night. But I fully expect it to be Snead tomorrow night. Could be wrong. Could be wrong, but with Dallas control issues, I don't know that you want to go into a game against a team like Kansas State and throw a guy who's going to be wild. No matter what your leash is with him, you start out and put a couple guys on when you got a team that hits and runs like it appears Kansas State does. You don't want to play with fire. You'll get burned on it. That's who I think pitches. Now I'm looking at my third bullet point, step up or step out. I'm looking at Hunter Inslee like that. Look at, don't get me wrong. I call guys who need to step up, but I totally want him to do well. I mean, because that means Tennessee's doing well. It's almost crap or get off the pot time for Hunter Inslee. It really is. And his average was about 229. Who's he going to play over right now? Villeneuve, Kavaris Tears, Dylan Dreiling, Dalton Bargo. Dylan Dreiling was almost getting to that point with me this weekend. Then he stepped up and had a couple good games there that boosted his average back up into the 300s. Cannon Peebles has come along, gotten his up into the 320s as well. I don't know who you play Inslee over. You play him Wednesday night against Southern Indiana, let him get some swings. They've given Reese Chapman opportunities. He's hitting under 100. That's not going to cut it. Not when you've got the guys hitting the way they are with Bargo, Villeneuve, Tears, and Dreiling. And, when on the nights that Cal Stark catches, which I almost expect he'll catch tomorrow night, you're probably going to see Peebles in as the DH. So that's putting either Bargo or Dreiling more than likely out. I don't see how you play Hunter Inslee and the way he's hit this year. He's not gotten the job done. He was one of your higher players, but I'll tell you, man, you look back at last year's, and it's a testament to what that coaching staff did with that team, because there were chemistry issues with pitching earlier in the year. The starting pitching was not great last year. Andrew Lindsay was put in as the Friday night guy. He did a good job during the season. When he got to the postseason, I didn't think he was that great in the postseason. I really didn't. Chase Dolander all year up and down. Burns he was in, got moved out. Beam was up and down. Beam from the South Carolina game, the last regular season game of the year on, was Tennessee's best starting pitcher. I don't think it was close. But, you look at that lineup, guys that were in that lineup last year and stuff, it's really a testament to what that coaching staff did at that lineup. This lineup this year is night and day better than the lineup from last year. It just is all the way around. It'd be nice to have a Jared Dickey again, but you've got good guys in that lineup to get the job done. Maui Ahuna, I was kind of mixed on him last year. Too many strikeouts for me, because there was a point in time in that postseason where every game he led off with a strikeout. And that just, I can't stand that. I want guys on. That's my problem with Christian Moore. I love it, Christian Moore leading off. You guys know what I've said about that's who I think should lead off. But my one beef is the strikeouts with him. He's got to get those lower down. But, this lineup's come together. Guys are hitting. Blake Burke has started coming around, which is huge for this lineup. Billy Amick, SEC Player of the Week this week. Big things are coming. I'm curious to see this lineup against Kansas State, see what they do tomorrow night. Do they keep hitting like they are? Is it going to be a struggle? Does it, resort back to where they were a couple of weeks ago and so on? But should be a fun game tomorrow night. Like I said, Wednesday night, I fully expect a blowout in that one. But I will bring a post-game tomorrow night. Games, from what I'm reading, are both at 6 o'clock tomorrow and Wednesday. I don't know that I'll do a post-game recap on Wednesday just because you got basketball going at 7 o'clock. Huge game against South Carolina. We'll be going live after that again. And just since the Auburn game last Wednesday to right now, this channel has literally grown by 100 subscribers. I got one more subscribers in 5 days than I got all of February. So that just goes to tell you the interest in basketball right now. So thank you, guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in. My name's my name's not the house. My channel's name is the House of Orange. My name's Frank Rock. As always, go Vols.